In terms of waste minimisation, using materials that naturally decompose and can be composted is much better than using something that's treated with arsenic. So one of the biggest problematic waste streams in New Zealand is treated wood, because you can't burn it and it basically leaches into the land and is incredibly damaging to the ecosystem. So we decided that we weren't, we wanted to meet that standard with this project, and between Fletcher and I, we even diverted the waste down to 97% diversion from landfill. And that's remarkable considering that we believe that we're more than 85% salvage materials by weight to begin with. So after all of the offcuts and stuff were left over, we then diverted more than 97% of that from landfill, which is potentially one of the highest diversion rates on a construction project ever in New Zealand.
How much does construction waste contribute to landfill in New Zealand?
Construction and demolition contributes 40% of our waste stream. It's by far the biggest category in terms of impact on waste management by a mile. So that's including ripping buildings down and just the way that these guys all around here basically behave. Everything goes into one skip bin and it just gets trucked off to landfill. So what we're standing on here, this is wood that used to be a cable reel. You'll notice that this curved timber features in quite a few places around the Flagship. So we've got those planter boxes there running down both sides, and we've got this little mini deck, which is to show off this area, which is our kind of our net zero water display. So what's happening here with the Living Building Challenge, the three hardest things to get through are net zero water, materials, so no toxic materials, and net zero energy. So I talked a little bit about materials. The ultimate ones are the ones that have a declare label, like what Firth has done, which is really, really awesome. So we've got a few different things here that have declare labels. And we're also actually persuading some of our supporters to go and register their products as declare labels. It makes it easier for other people to go and replicate systems and know that it's not toxic without having to do all the research. So to try and quantify how much research I would have done on materials on this project over the course of going through 2 building consents, I reckon it would have been roughly the equivalent of a year of someone's life if they were working normal hours. So it's a pretty significant investment in research, and it's quite difficult. Not really my skill set either. There's a lot of chemistry involved in it, like looking up chemical compositions and numbers, and then failing that product because it had, one of those nasty chemicals in it, finding another one. It was a lot of work. So what we want to do down here is, once we finish this session, we're going to make a bunch of signage about what materials work and meet Living Building Challenge requirements, and then be able to promote them down here. So we want people to pick up on these ideas and change the way that they're building stuff so that it's not so toxic. When you're cutting wood that's treated with copper chrome arsenic, the dust goes into your face and is incredibly toxic. It's literally killing builders by working with those materials. So over here, this is all about net zero water. Now, we have quite large roof spaces here. We have 3 roof systems. So there's the big one, which is ETFE canopy, which is a mineral-based plastic. So it's a type of plastic that isn't toxic. It lets sunlight through, and we'll show it up close in a second, but it's a huge roof. Now, above the containers, we have long-run steel roofing, which was all salvaged. And that's bringing water into these downpipes, and that water is going into these 2 massive storage tanks. So we use that for irrigation. And then we have the toilet block roof, and you can see it from over here, which is above the toilet block. It's a living roof. So that roof is almost achieving best practice in terms of regenerative design for a roof. It has native plants on it which slow down the stormwater by 60%. Underneath that, it has this material, which is Neurolite 3PM. You can see it on the roof of the office here as well. It's got 100 mils of insulation and then it's got this bitumen-based coating, which is my favourite example of regenerative design that we've got. So that roof there is currently removing the pollution of 7 cars every day. It turns nitrous dioxide, sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide into an inert material, which is like these little chips, and that can wash down the drain, no worries. This is what it's made out of up here, but it converts it into a, I think it's into a type of salt. It's amazing. It's a product that comes out of Belgium.
It's a biologically inert runoff that it turns into, which is, I think, a type of salt.
Yeah. It's a type of salt, but basically that's cleaning up the air.
So does that material have to be replaced on a regular issue?
Apparently not. You know, it lasts for a very, very long time. It meets building consent standards, which is generally required to be 50 years. The performance of it, there's a lot more detail on that roof in the flat roof guide, which is in the shop over there. But when I heard about that, I was like, you know what, our roof has to be like that. And then over there, it's also got the living roof. So that's cooling it down in the summer, it's warming it up in the winter with the plants as well as the insulation. You're starting to get towards best practice for a roof design over there. The only way to make that any better than it currently is would be to have posts coming up and solar panels on it. And then you would pretty much have like your ultimate roof system. So it's nice to have a little bit of a showcase on that. And you know, interestingly, because it's slowing down stormwater, so every bit of water that we collect and use for irrigation, whether it's on the living roof or on any of our plantings in here, is water that's not going into the ocean through the stormwater system. And that is having a positive impact on the health of our harbour. So net zero water is very, very important for us. What it means is that we're completely self-sufficient in terms of water systems here. We have composting toilets, so that's dealing with our black water. We have a grey water treatment system, which is this reconstructed wetland behind me. Now that is receiving grey water out of the sink in our kitchen and out of the drain on this drinking fountain here. It runs through the wetland plants and the gravel, 2 stages. It comes out into this wine barrel, and this wine barrel, when it gets full, it activates a float switch, which pours it into that tank. You can hear it falling in. So that's shifting the now clean grey water back into our irrigation tanks. And it's on a float switch, so it's only when it needs to be pumped. So this has actually been made out of the offcuts of the shipping containers through here. So perhaps again you could call it triple salvage, but it's been welded by prisoners who were getting welding tickets while they built that for us. So we were able to get that done without having to pay. All of the plastic pipes that you see are HDPE, so that's a non-toxic type of plastic. It's very, very different from PVC or polyvinyl chloride, which is a really common and really toxic material. I'll give you a couple of examples of PVC right now. That tarpaulin is PVC, those road cones are PVC. If you smell it up close, you'll realize how toxic it is.